Okay, so Nintendo Direct just wrapped up, just did a reaction. Impressions time. Mind you, I'm saying impressions time. I actually straight up do not have like a list of all the things that were announced. I should pull that up if I can, or like get my thingy, my tablet, so I can like peek through it really quickly. But like thoughts overall, I think it was alright. It was an alright one, and I kind of like. It was an hour long, so like the expectations were probably really high for a lot of people. I imagine a lot of people are really disappointed right now. I'm not, but I think part of that's because my expectations are genuinely low, and also going into it, like the timing of this direct. Like I understand, like the Switch 2 needs more games, like a ton of shit right off the bat, just to be like to make it a worthwhile like package. But, like, the expectation that, like, a bunch of new games for a bunch of franchises are going to come out now, it doesn't line up. You know? It just, timing-wise, it's kind of funky. It's a funky time. Like, I think it'd be too early for, like, a new Zelda game, for example, because they have Age of Imprisonment coming out, which is technically a new Zelda game, but just not, like a Zelda game. I'm sure that it's in development, but it's not going to come out until that game is already dropped. They're not going to announce it until that game drops, just for the news cycle. Same thing goes for like a bunch of other things, like Mario, Donkey Kong Bonanza just came out, so they're not going to release a new Mario game. They're going to like update previous ones like they did, or like Mario Sports like what they did, or Yoshi. That made sense. But like, or like Kirby just like has Kirby Air Riders coming up and just had the update to like Forgotten Land. So it's like there's not a reason why they would make a new one in this period, because they've already sort of filled out the gaps with the Nintendo Switch 2 versions of games, as well as like newer spin-offs and stuff, which like makes sense. I didn't see a lot of franchises getting new games, but like Fire Emblem was definitely one I was thinking about for sure, and so was like Yoshi was one of those ones that makes sense. Like, it doesn't surprise me that this wasn't like a huge blowout, oh, this is the best direct of all time kind of situation, because I know that there's limitations right now. Like, Nintendo's not in a very mobile space. The only, like, because they've released a lot of new games recently. Like, even like Xenoblade, wouldn't expect that. Smash Brothers can't happen. I mean, I guess it could happen, but like the literal developers for Smash Brothers, not just Sakurai, even Bandai Namco, the team that did Smash Brothers, doing Kirby Air Riders. By the way, a second Kirby Air Riders direct, is that not insane? Is that not crazy? Another one? The first one was 40 minutes, and he talked about everything, we thought. But apparently, there's enough more in the game that he can make a whole other direct about it. I am actually flabbergasted by that. I guess to just go down my impressions. Okay, there was the Mario Galaxy movie. There was like the whole Mario thing for the first half. I also kind of felt like that was gonna happen. Like I didn't say it before the thing, but like, yeah, the Mario 40th anniversary has been like something that we've been building up to for a while, and like inevitably they're gonna spend some time on that. A lot of time. I think a little bit too much time, considering like a lot of this stuff is that they announced is like currently Japan exclusive. But like Mario Galaxy 2-pack, which is a weird thing for me to buy, I feel, because I already own the second game. I hope you can buy them separately. But also it seems like they're a package by nature. I hope it doesn't seem to be time sensitive, unless like they announce that somewhere else. But good to know. Like I think the Mario stuff was I am interested in this the second movie because of, you know, Galaxy being the basis of it. I mean, it's a logical next step, but it's interesting. I'm really down for that. Especially, I wonder what they're gonna do for the story. I hope they lean more into the Mario Bros, the Mario music compositions, and like that kind of thing, rather than like feeling like they need to have pop music represented and stuff, you know? The new Yoshi game, really good art style. Like it. I'm very interested in that. There's the new Mario Tennis. I think Mario Tennis is an interesting one. Mario Tennis is kind of hard to like I already expressed it, but I feel like I don't have faith in the sports games as much. I guess moving on, there's also Tomodachi Life got a thingy, a date, a window even. They said we have an update on the release date. Spring 2026. Anyways, bye. Those jokers. That's a pretty. Spring is like May next year. That's crazy work. Anywho, we have like Hades 2, which I guess might it's releasing this month, like in probably next week. Like they said, like the 16th or something. But also, I was under the impression that game already came out. But I guess, like, on the Switch, it's coming out with its own thing. Alright. Final Fantasy VII, Age of Imprisonment. I've talked about this, like, I was talking about it during the actual video, during the actual reaction, but, like, it is interesting how much that game is in a weird dilemma, because it's, like, Tears of the Kingdom has a lot of, like, bad blood around it. Age of Calamity has a lot of bad blood around it. And then it's also, like, very much depending on like original characters, which like Hyrule Warriors has never really been about. Like the first Hyrule Warriors was about like all the like big Zelda characters, except for Bruce, I guess. All the big Zelda characters, and then Hyrule Warriors 2 is all about the big Breath of the Wild characters and like the big Breath of the Wild conflict, right? But like Tears of the Kingdom, the only characters we know from that are like Minoru, Sonya, Ganon, I guess, Zelda, and Rauru. Otherwise, everybody else seems to be an original character, which can work. Don't get me wrong. I think there's actually a lot of appeal in something that's completely original, or at very least doing something new. But it's a hard sell, I think, especially considering like there's burnt bridges already there. It's an interesting place. I'm enthusiastic about it, but I know there's a lot of people who aren't, and it's sad. Like I feel like they really. You don't get a second chance, and they kind of burned their first go at like having a canonical Zelda game that is a Hyrule Warriors. So that's my thoughts. I'm still probably gonna play it when I get a Switch, but yeah. The Virtual Boy. Nah, forget about Fatal Frame for a second. Virtual Boy, nigga. They were doing some weird things in this direct, weren't they? That is crazy work. Virtual Boy? I mean, W game preservation. That was a famously difficult console to emulate for, or like maybe it wasn't, but like no, these never got ported before. But most of those games also suck. They're not good, except for the Wario game. I hear it's good, but like most of the games on that console suck. That console is not healthy to play. It is crazy that they are investing time and money into this, even as a novelty. But, again, W game preservation. I can't argue with it. I didn't know about, like, they announced the Dragon Quest remaster for 7, which is fun. I'm probably not going to buy it, honestly. If I'm going to beat that game, I'll probably just play it on my 3DS, because I have that version. There's Fatal Frame, there's the One Piece Warriors, a lot of Koei Tecmo this time around. Like, I imagine Koei Tecmo was also working on like the new Fire Emblem as well. These fellas, they're working on that. They're working on the Ditto game. They have Age of Imprisonment and the Dynasty Warriors Origins and the One Piece Dynasty Warriors like re-release or whatever it is. Like. These fellas are really funny. They're working their asses off, and I gotta respect it. Can't really get on their case for it. Yeah, so there's that. A lot of Switch 2 versions of like indie games, which is weird. I'm gonna be honest. Like as something to be interested in, it's like I feel like the Switch 2 versions are really appealing when it's like a technical. Like a game that struggled technically, that is getting that like new version that's gonna run really well, and then on top of it has additional content. but like indie games that were already pretty much worked fine on the previous console, adding like a paid upgrade potentially. I don't even know if these are like, I just, from what I understand, the Switch 2 editions are like the terminology used for a paid version. Now, if that's the case, then why? Like, what are we doing this for? Like these very smaller games that probably ran well. Like, you could have just made that a DLC pack, and I guess that's really the excuse, is that they can charge you money because they're making additional content for it. But the Switch 2 editions feels like the Switch 2 equivalent to when Nintendo on the Switch 1 re-released all like the Wii U games that were like didn't do well on that console on the Switch 1, which makes sense. Like, that made sense, albeit it is some scum shit. I like, people have had problems with the Switch 2, probably the Switch 2 editions, probably because, like, you know, the Switch, like, the Switch 2 is already too expensive, so, like, adding on to that, like, oh, so you have to pay extra money to get an upgrade to your previous games, like, it rubs people the wrong way, but also, it is objectively a better practice than being like, you know, those games you had on Wii U, we're re-releasing it in a better state for $60. I will take a $10 upgrade over a $60 repurchase, like double dip, any day. Any day. It's still not great, but I understand it. And like, other consoles do this. So, woohoo, Prime 4. God damn, they were cooking. And what are we talking about here, man? They put that girl in a motorcycle. Yes, sir! Samus is already one of the coolest characters ever. One of the most badass characters ever. Like, top 3 best female characters in anything, but also fiction, and also video games, rather. Like, and then you're just like, we got her in this sick ass costume. Let's give her a motorcycle on top of that hoe. Like, yo. Also, like, the world is way bigger than it looked in, like the initial, like, views we've had of the world, which has been just, like, that tree area. It looked to me like a Metroid Prime area. Like, it was, like, if this was the basis of every other area, this would be a very standard Metroid Prime. But then, like, we get the motorcycle in this trailer, and it's like, this world is huge! Massive! Now, I do think they need to make a whole-ass direct for this game, and, like, really blow the top off on this game, because we really haven't been showing that much. But, like, if the world is that big, and you have, like, a whole motorcycle to transport in between areas, then I think that actually is exciting, because that's very much breaking the mold of, like, Metroid Prime before, and also allowing you to do something that people have been really asking for, like, people have been asking for, like, a Metroid Prime game where you can fly around in your gunship and do, like, side missions and stuff, or, like, go from planet to planet. And now like, Prime 3 kind of did that, but it was more, like, it wasn't really, like, you actually flew it. And now they kind of did that with a motorcycle. Well, it was like a terrestrial version of that, which I think is really cool. I think that is incredibly fun looking. On top of the fact that game probably runs well, and, like, it looks great, and I mean, really, the only two things they showed was there's an open world, there's a motorcycle, and there's a grapple beam. Also, Psylocke apparently also has psychic powers and is definitely the main villain, which I'm down for it, because, like, I was wondering if they were gonna shaft him, or, like, they were gonna do, like, a Metroid Prime 1 thing where, like, Psylocke is the villain that you follow around, but then there's a bigger, greater scope villain, which I'm sure is probably true, but, like, I'm glad that they're invested in making Psylocke, like, a full-on villain. I've been having an idea recently, because, like, Liam Triforce made a video on the Metroid Prime Hunters, which reminds me of how much I love the Metroid Prime Hunters. I'm super glad that they're doing something with Psylocke, because he's one of the Prime Hunters. I think they should make a whole-ass, multiplayer-focused game that is just like the Prime Hunters and Sam. Like, it could be a hero shooter. I think that would actually be a really good way to do that, considering they're all bounty hunters. Or like just like the multiplayer that's already there, like Capture the Flag, regular multiplayer. Like, the Switch 2 already has a shooter. The Switch and the Switch 2 already have, like, Nintendo has a third-person shooting game like Splatoon, but they don't have a first-person one. Metroid's right there. I'm just saying that would work just fine. You've already done it before. Just redo it. I would also be down for Metroid Prime 4 to just have a multiplayer mode in it where you get to play as the other Prime Hunters and it's the same one as before. That is a fine single release. Y'all should do that. You should do it. That's my pie in the sky. Throw it out there. Anyways, moving on. Donkey Kong. Whoa. I'm already like super experiencing the FOMO of not being able to play that game myself, but like a whole ass roguelike mode for that game where you can go to all the layers and try to like get high scores and stuff. That's gonna go crazy. People are gonna love that. I mean, they already love that game, but like that's like a speedrunner's paradise. Like that. Yeah, that's gonna go hard. I can't lie. ZA, the new Mega Evolutions, they look good. I don't think that trailer really showed much other than like the Kalos starters have megas, which is fun. I really like that. I think the least interesting one is Mega Greninja, and I'm gonna be honest, it's just because it's like the Cyndaquil design, you know, Mega Gigantamax Cyndaquil, where it's like super similar to stuff we've already seen. Like it kind of just looks like Ash Greninja a little bit. But it also has a giant ninja star you can ride, like a Nyoibo, not a Nyoibo, like the flying Nimbus, the Kinto one might say. Which is like, I love Greninja, but like that doesn't stand out to me in any particular way. Mega Chestnut, he looks dope. He has the pauldron and the giant spear. That looks sick. I might even get him for that reason, because I'm probably gonna get like Totodile. I'm like a water purist. Like, I've always picked the water starter. Even in generations where, like, the water starter isn't, like, the coolest, like, Poplio isn't really my taste, but I still pick the water starter. It's what I'm used to. It's what I'm used to playing around and, like, forming teams around. So it's like, I'm gonna have a water starter. But, like, if I get the water starter, if my water starter is Totodile, who I hope also gets a Mega, I might get Chestnut this time around. Just because I really like his Mega. It's cool. Also, Delphox is really cool. I think that's great for them. Like, the fact that their Megas are cooler than Greninja's, that's good, because Greninja already gets the world. Also, them releasing a whole DLC, Mega Dimension. I mean, I guess it's good news in the sense that we're probably going to get more Megas that are, like, exclusively in that DLC pack. But DLC Megas is kind of whack. Like, I hope that there's content in that as well. I do like the Raichu's getting some love. Even if these two Mega forms that they're giving him basically just make him into Pikachu, it doesn't matter. Raichu getting love over Pikachu is always a W in my heart. Even if it is just Pikachu shilling. The fact that there wasn't a Mega Raichu in the first place is actually really interesting. It's a very interesting adage. One of those like, you'd think, right? But I guess because they were so on pushing Pikachu that they weren't willing to do that. They also look like Gorochu. They look like Gorochu, that like alternate evolution or like third form that was supposed to be a thing before Pichu became a thing. That's cool. The Sizzle Reel just had a bunch of stuff like we expected to see. The Pokemon Minecraft thing is fun. Between Pokemon Minecraft and the Australian Minecraft thing that they were showing off, Pokemon Minecraft looks better. I think playing as a Ditto is really charming. Also, like, getting new abilities to terraform the world is really charming when it's, like, based on the different Pokemon that you can encounter. Yeah, I like it. It's fun. Doesn't look like the craziest thing in the whole world, but, like, I'm interested. Resident Evil dropping. That's dope. Also, like, all three of the Resident Evil games. We have come so far from having, like, cloud storage versions of those games where, like, you had to stream the game to your console. Like, we're so far beyond that. And I'm elated. I'm so excited that we're beyond that point, to where we have a console that's actually strong enough to run the new Resident Evil game right off the bat. And that gives me a lot of hope in general. Because like during the reaction, I was like, a Virtua Fighter. I don't know if Virtua Fighter. I was thinking like Virtua Fighter 5 coming here. It's possible with the new Virtua Fighter, depending on how intensive it is, I guess, could come to the Switch too. But I was like, when I was saying it, I'm like, maybe not. But like seeing the new Resident Evil games kind of reassured me. I'm like, it's possible. And that's really hype, in my opinion. And then, of course, finally, Fire Emblem. It's good to be back. Again, I skipped Engage. I skipped Engage because, like, I saw Engage was going for more like a Fate style, like, tone, I guess. Even though Fates was trying to be serious, it was just really bad at it. But, like, it was, like, really light toned. I'm sure that game is fun to play. Like, I was planning on, like, borrowing it from the library at some point because I don't want to buy it and, like, trying it out that way. But, like I've heard mixed things about the story and stuff. Like, the gameplay's really fun, but the story's, like, whatever. And, like, I don't know. It was just, like, a very clear skip in my brain. I think I have a very specific taste in Fire Emblem. I enjoy Fire Emblem when it's taking itself seriously and, like, really delivering in that regard. Not that Fire Emblem isn't fun when it's not doing that. It's just, that's what I like. Like, I prefer Awakening levels of, like, you can be goofy like Awakening is, but, like, you can also be serious like Awakening is. I think Awakening has a perfect balance. I prefer, like, Shadows of Valentia or Fire Emblem 7 or Three Houses, of course. Three Houses is my favorite, I think. Well, Shadows of Valentia might have that in terms of, like, vibes, but I think Three Houses is, like, the best game currently available. And they went back to Three Houses, which is a good idea, good call. Like, I could tell from the beginning of that trailer, just off the vibe, one, that it was Fire Emblem, and two, that it was like, this does not feel like Engage. In spite of having, like, Engage-like graphics, it does not feel like Engage, environment and story-wise, which is very assuring. I like that. I really do. Because that, to me, shows that the game is, like, you know, interesting. It's, like, going to have an engaging story. Irony. But, like, it's going to have an engaging story that, like, will grip me in a way. Like, even when you saw, like, the way the dancer was talking about, like, I've been talking about revenge and, like, I need to kill somebody or else, like, life ain't gonna matter anymore. I'm like, yeah, talk that talk, be serious. Be the franchise that is willing to do some dark shit and, like stand on it. That's what I'm interested in. And, I'm glad that they're doing that. Well, it's called Fortune's Weave. That game looks great. I'm into it. I like this kind of, like, street urchin guy who looks like the main protagonist. They're using the Crest weapons still, like, Crests are still a thing. Sothis we got to see again, who came back, I guess, which is interesting, really interesting. Because, like, the implication of Three Houses that she kind of just, like, but I guess she didn't. She's still around. She is a goddess, right? More, I do like also just them doing the age-old Fire Emblem thing and just making it like a proper sequel or, like, prequel or things set in the same world. Because they can do that, and they've been doing that. Like, Fire Emblem 6 and 7 are in the same world. Radiant Dawn and Path of Radiance, same world. Like 1 through, like, 5. Like, Mystery of the Emblem. Like, at least 5 in, like, the original Fire Emblem universe as well. Like, in Altea. Like, there's the first game, Shadow Dragon, and there's Shadows of Valentia. Then there's Mystery of the Emblem. Then there's Awakening. Like, there's a bunch of games that are set specifically in that time period as well. So it's like, they've done it before, so why not do it again? And you know what? I can't argue with them. I'm down for it. I love Three Houses, and I think there's a big fan base of people who like Three Houses who are going to come back to this game and, like, really enjoy it. They're going to come and be seeing this and they're like, oh, I'm down. In fact, I gotta text people about this. I gotta show my friends that there's a Three Houses sequel coming out. Like, that's a rare feeling for me. Or prequel. I don't know when it's set. It could. I think by the fact that Sothis looks older. But here's the thing: Sothis only looks young because of circumstances, and she's talking about, like, you remember me. Like, this could be before Three Houses, which I've talked about being, like, a good idea. Not, like, online, but, like, I've thought about it, you know? I've thought about that being, like, a good approach, having a prequel story for it. Because, like, there's thousands of years between, like, the Nemesis stuff and what is, like, currently happening in Three Houses. And it also, like, sidesteps around the fact that that game has 3 different endings that would have logically affect it. So I think it might be a prequel, but it could also be a sequel. Like, it totally could. It could just be like, Dimitri won, the end. It's Dimitri, the Azure Moon is canon. Or maybe it's a sequel to a different thing. They have the freedom. They have, like, a split timeline a la Zelda to play around and do what they want with. Nintendo has a really weird... I guess it's not Nintendo themselves, but, like, these RPG franchises have a really bad habit of, like, splintering their fan base. By being like, here's a super serious version of this franchise, and here's the super stupid, silly fan servicey version. And now, fight, fight for it, because Xenoblade did the same thing with Xenoblade 2. It's like there's a version of the fan base who is like total gooners, only in it for the titties, like on their anime bullshit, and then there's a version of them that's like, no, I'm here for the serious story, to be really invested. I'm that guy, but to be really invested because I really enjoy the gameplay and the story and like that kind of thing. And like they're both fans, but like I think the developers are the ones who are setting themselves up with this. And that's crazy. The crazy part about it with Fire Emblem, like Xenoblade, I get it. Xenoblade was a niche ass series. Doing some stuff like that will get fans, and it worked. I will tell you that it did work. However, Fire Emblem didn't need to do that. Three Houses was extremely successful, including with the Gooners. So what are we doing? Why are we potentially creating a rift in the fan base? To be fair, I guess Fire Emblem been doing that, right? Like, like they did that with Fates, which most people hated actually, but there's been like different iterations of the characters in the games and stuff like that. This is nothing new. Like I said at the beginning, this Direct was okay. I think it was a solid like 6 or 7 out of 10. Probably more like a 6 if I'm being realistic. I just like certain games. Like, there wasn't a lot of new stuff that really blew my mind. A lot of the time was spent on the Mario thing, which I think would have been better spent if they had just done like a separate Mario Direct. Putting it all together kind of builded the expectations in a weird way, which, like, whatever. I'm sure people will get over it. But yeah, no, it was okay. Like, there was some good things here, but I don't think enough of like what people are really craving for with the Switch 2. And I don't think we're gonna get that soon. I feel like a lot of the things that they're doing right now need to be released, and then a few years pass, and then they're gonna be able to like drop some real bombs. So like, until Age of Imprisonment comes out, we're not gonna get a new Zelda, for example. We're probably not going to hear much from, like, a potentially new Metroid game, even though I'm sure they're working on a 2D one right now. I'm sure about that. Like, I have no source, but I'm sure about it. I get a feeling. But, like, they're not going to announce that until Prime 4 comes out, because Prime 4 is already, like, the thing that they need to put the majority of their attention on. Like, or, like, a new Pokemon, like, a mainline one, that's not going to happen until ZA comes out, like... Or even like a black and white remake or something. Like we're not gonna get the big new stuff that is gonna sell the console right now, because I feel like a lot of this stuff is still in development or being held back by current release schedules. And that is what I felt before the Direct came out, and what I feel even more now. Hence, 6 out of 10. It's gonna be like that for a minute. And that's why I have a little bit of hesitation when it comes to like buying a new Switch. Like, I want to buy a Switch I want to buy the Switch when it's worth it. And while there are plenty of games coming out that I would say are worth it, I don't know if now's the time. Maybe if they announce like a special edition or something, I might do it. I might also just get the Switch, the Mario Kart bundle, call it a day. And then just like save money so that when the games I really want to play do come out, I'll get them. I don't know. It's like I have saved the money, but I don't feel like doing it right now. It's weird. Maybe I just have purchase paralysis. Maybe I'm just being logical. Either way. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you got more out of the Direct than I did. I don't know if you did, but you know. Best of luck to you. Have a good day, and God bless.